Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, Strange New Worlds has been a disappointing disaster. But something that has happened that I haven't really examined is the comics. There have been comics of Strange New Worlds. Now, these are produced by IDW, which has recently lost its way with Star Trek, and they, instead of continuing on in the Next Generation era or the original era, they've been making up their own like little crews, and it's very much Star Wars or Star Trek Rebels, and doesn't really resemble Star Trek. They both failed and are closed, and now, but they are doing some some Strange New Worlds comics, and it's possible that they could be written by actual science fiction writers. They could actually be good stories. Just because the show's bad doesn't mean the comic can't be good. So I don't know if these are any good or not. I know the ones that they did with the Cisco crew, and on the Defiant with Spock, and God and devils, and all this stuff. It was just a disaster. But these could actually be good. I don't know. I haven't read them. They could be bad. But the latest one, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Seeds of Salvation. It is I think it's a little bit of a horror themed. Well, it promises Lovecraftian horror for Captain Pike and the crew of USS Enterprise. I'm a horror fan. I've always liked Star Trek's horror episodes, but because Star Trek's science fiction, it always explains these things away. They're not ghosts, they're not monsters, they are an alien being with this or that technology or issue or power or whatever. So that they always ruin it in the end by explaining it. But for a moment there, you have like spooky scenes, like what was the one? Was it Identity Crisis? Oh, what was the one where Beverly's in like the sick bay, and all the corpses like stand up behind her and stuff like that, and they've had some good episodes where they played around with horror, but then they always explain it, unlike Strange New Worlds, that basically believes in evil and superstition, which just demeans anyone watching the show. But yeah, I'm curious if this is any good. See how sad of an optimist I am that even though I had hope for the show and it's proven to be a horrible disaster, and now I'm seeing there's a comic, I'm like, maybe the comic will be good. But it's better than being a cynic and just assuming it's going to be bad and not giving it a chance. I'll have a look at it. But apparently they actually just released a omnibus. I nearly said ombudsman. Omnibus of their Strange New Worlds stories. I'm like, I didn't realise they'd done enough stories. I was aware of one miniseries they did. I wasn't aware they'd done enough to fill an omnibus. So I'm going to have a look at these because they could be good. The stories could be good. The stories that they did for the JJ crew, which was just the regular Star Trek title for a few years, and then it became after Beyond they changed it. I forgot what they called it, but I think it was Boldly Go. Yeah, something like that. Those comics were okay. The stories were good. The writers were better than the writers of the films. So there is some hope for these brands. They could exist after the show's finally cancelled. I mean, they've all been cancelled now. I mean, technically, Starfleet Academy hasn't been cancelled, but they're only going to get the 2 seasons. The third season hasn't been greenlit, and no one's going to greenlight it. So, but these shows, which had potential that were ruined by the people involved, could evolve into good comics or novels or other content. So I'm not going to just say it's Strange New Worlds, it must be bad. I will read these comics and see if they're any good. But I just want to talk about that for a minute. And the Lovecraftian horror part, of course, got me. But they always promise Lovecraftian horror to try and get the horror fans in, and that's part of the problem. They over the franchise overall is trying to appeal to everyone other than Star Trek fans, because they don't want to make Star Trek shows. They don't think Star Trek has an audience, and they're trying to attract all the other audiences, and none of them are big, So why would you throw out the sci-fi audience and Star Trek fandom to try and get the horror crowd, or the murder mystery crowd, or the I don't know, the Bridezilla crowd? I don't know. I'm thinking of the wedding planner in Spock's wedding episode. But yeah, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the comic if you've seen it. If you haven't, do you agree with me that it is actually possible that a comic could be better than the series, and that they could actually get a good comic series or novel series from the show, even though the show itself has turned into some weird sort of avoidant parody of Star Trek. I don't know, but I'm gonna go. Bye.